Have you ever wondered why the things that make you feel good never seem to last? Why that rush of pleasure, the one you thought would finally satisfy you, fades faster every time? You chase it again, hoping this time it'll stay longer, feel deeper, mean something more. But it never does it? And quietly, somewhere beneath all that noise, a part of you starts to wonder if maybe the problem isn't what you're chasing, but the fact that you're chasing at all. We're told that life is about feeling good, that happiness is the reward for effort, success, and desire, that pleasure is proof we're doing something right. But if that were true, why do we always end up hungry for more? Why do we keep scrolling, keep buying, keep consuming, keep wanting, even when we already have so much? It's because pleasure isn't designed to fulfill us. It's designed to keep us running. The mind learns fast. Every hit of pleasure becomes a cue, a command, a craving. You start to live from one moment of satisfaction to the next, like stepping stones over an endless void. But the stones keep sinking. The momentary joy turns to emptiness. The satisfaction curdles into guilt, boredom, or shame. You tell yourself it's fine. You just need a little more, a little better, a little higher. And in that single thought you lose yourself again. Pleasure promises freedom. But what it really gives you is dependence. It traps you in cycles so subtle you don't even see them forming. That daily coffee that once felt like a treat, now it's a need. The validation that once boosted your confidence, now it defines your worth. The entertainment that once distracted you from pain, now it keeps you from feeling anything real. Every "I need this" becomes another thread in the web. And before long you realize the web is everywhere. But here's the hardest part to admit: we chase pleasure because we're afraid. Afraid of stillness, afraid of silence, afraid of what might surface if we stop running for even a second. Pleasure becomes the escape, the shield, the drug that numbs what we don't want to face. But the more we hide behind it, the more it controls us. The things we own begin to own us. The experiences meant to liberate us start to confine us. We think we're choosing joy, but we're only choosing distraction. And yet, you already know this. You've felt that strange emptiness after the high fades. You've caught yourself staring into a screen long after it stopped giving you anything. You've heard that quiet voice that says, "This isn't it." But you push it away because the truth hurts. It means admitting that what you've been chasing all this time was never real peace. It was avoidance dressed as pleasure. But what if there's another way? What if the answer isn't in getting more, but in needing less? What if the real reward isn't found in constant excitement, but in quiet awareness, the kind that doesn't fade when the lights go out or the noise stops? You don't have to keep feeding the cycle. You don't have to keep running from yourself. There's a place beyond pleasure, a state that isn't about escaping discomfort, but embracing it. A calm that doesn't depend on conditions. That's what the world never tells you. Because if you stop chasing, you'd stop buying. If you stop craving, you'd stop obeying. And that terrifies the systems built on your hunger. So they keep you hooked on wanting, teaching you that your worth lives outside you, in the next thrill, the next possession, the next temporary joy. But deep down, you know better. You can feel that something's off, that beneath the constant pursuit lies a quiet longing, not for pleasure, but for peace. And peace doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from letting go, from being present without the constant need for stimulation, from realizing that happiness was never something to chase, but something to notice. Because once you stop trying to grasp every fleeting moment of pleasure, you begin to see what was always there, the simple, silent beauty of being alive. And in that stillness, for the first time, you're not chasing anything. You're free. Freedom doesn't come from chasing pleasure. It comes from understanding pain. Because the moment you stop running from discomfort, you realize it was never your enemy. It was your teacher. Every feeling you tried to escape was a message. Every emptiness you tried to fill was a sign pointing you back to yourself. But we've forgotten how to listen. We've been trained to silence the very emotions that could set us free. Think about it. Every time you feel anxious, you reach for distraction. Every time you feel lonely, you scroll. Every time you feel lost, you drown it in noise. We don't face the discomfort, we cover it. We treat the symptom, not the cause. And that's why we stay stuck, always numbing, never healing. Pleasure becomes the bandage we use to avoid looking at the wound. But wounds don't close when you ignore them. They grow deeper, hidden beneath layers of temporary relief. And maybe that's why so many people feel lost, even when their lives look full. Because deep down they've built their world on sand, on moments that sparkle and vanish, on highs that leave them hollow. You can only chase pleasure for so long before it starts to chase you back, turning into anxiety, restlessness, and quiet despair. You tell yourself you're living, but what you're really doing is running. Running from silence, from uncertainty, from yourself. But there's power in stopping. There's power in turning around and facing what you've been avoiding. That silence you fear, it isn't empty. It's full of truth. It's where you meet the part of you that isn't built on pleasure or validation, the part that doesn't need to be constantly fed. When you sit with your discomfort, you begin to see through the illusion. You start to notice that pleasure was never the goal. It was just a temporary escape from the deeper meaning you've been searching for. The mind will resist this. It'll whisper just one more hit, just one more distraction. Because the ego survives on craving. It needs to chase, to consume, to keep you trapped in motion. But you can step off the wheel. You can break the rhythm of craving by simply observing it. Watch the desire rise. Don't feed it. Don't fight it. Just see it for what it is, a passing impulse, not a command. The moment you stop obeying every craving, you begin to reclaim your life. And something incredible happens then. The chaos starts to quiet. The noise fades. You begin to feel the present again. Not the artificial highs or the aching lows, but the steady pulse of existence. You realize peace was never missing. It was just buried under the constant need to feel good. That's the cruel irony. The more you chase pleasure, the less you can feel it. But the moment you stop chasing, even the smallest things begin to glow. The warmth of light, the sound of breath, the weight of your own being. It all becomes enough. This isn't about rejecting joy. It's about no longer being ruled by it. True joy isn't found in intensity. It's found in depth. It's the quiet satisfaction of knowing you no longer need to chase what was already inside you. And when you reach that point, something shifts. You start living with awareness instead of addiction. You stop confusing pleasure with purpose. You begin to taste the kind of freedom that can't be sold, bought, or lost. So ask yourself, what if you let go? What if, just for a moment, you stopped running and allowed yourself to feel everything, the chaos, the calm, the fear, the stillness? That's where transformation begins, because life isn't supposed to be an endless pursuit of pleasure. It's supposed to be an awakening, a return, a remembering. And when you finally stop searching for the next high, you'll find something far greater than happiness. You'll find wholeness. You'll find peace in the places you once tried to escape. And in that stillness, for the first time, you won't need anything more. You'll simply be. You've been told to chase happiness as if it's a destination. As if one day, after enough effort, enough success, enough pleasure, you'll finally arrive and stay there forever. But deep down, you know that place doesn't exist. Because every time you reach it, it vanishes. Every goal achieved, every desire fulfilled, it all fades, leaving behind the same hunger that drove you there in the first place. That's the trick of desire. It doesn't want you to be happy. It wants you to keep wanting. And so you run faster, harder. You fill your life with noise, movement, and distraction. You tell yourself it's progress, that you're growing, that you're becoming someone. But who are you becoming? A person addicted to momentum, terrified of stillness, because when the world goes quiet, you hear the truth, and the truth is uncomfortable. The truth is that everything you thought would complete you never really could. Not the pleasure, not the validation, not the attention. They were never meant to last. That's why we're exhausted. That's why no amount of success feels like enough. Because we've mistaken stimulation for meaning. We've mistaken pleasure for peace. And as long as we keep feeding that illusion, we'll never stop feeling empty. The world keeps telling you to do more, get more, be more, but what if the real power is in doing less? What if real strength is in letting go? The moment you stop needing everything to be pleasurable is the moment you become untouchable. Because you're no longer a slave to the highs and lows. You exist beyond them. There's a kind of peace that doesn't need to be earned. A calm that can't be taken away. But to find it, you have to be brave enough to face what you've been avoiding. The boredom, the silence, the pain. The things you call negative are not your enemies. They're the doorway back to yourself. Every time you resist them, you build another wall between who you are and who you're pretending to be. But the moment you allow yourself to feel without running, the walls begin to crumble. You start to see the beauty hiding inside the chaos. The world doesn't want you to know this, because once you do, you can't be controlled. You can't be manipulated by fear or pleasure. You don't need constant validation to feel alive. You don't chase what everyone else is chasing. You move differently. You breathe differently. You start to see that life isn't about escaping pain or chasing pleasure. It's about awareness, about presence, about finally waking up from the dream that told you were incomplete. And once you wake up, everything changes. You no longer crave what drains you. You no longer fear the quiet. You start to trust life even when it hurts. You start to see that pain and pleasure were never opposites. They were teachers guiding you toward balance. You realize that peace was never waiting somewhere out there. It was buried under layers of wanting, hidden behind the noise of desire. And when you uncover it, it's so simple, it almost feels unreal. This is the turning point. The moment you stop asking, how can I feel better, and start asking what is real. Because when you stop fighting your experience and start observing it, life softens. The chase ends. The fear dissolves. You stop trying to fix yourself because you realize you were never broken. The chaos, the confusion, the emptiness, it was all part of the awakening. So let this be the moment you stop running. Let this be the breath where you finally allow stillness to meet you. The world will keep shouting for your attention, but you can choose silence. You can choose presence. You can choose peace. The kind of peace that doesn't depend on pleasure, doesn't disappear when things go wrong, and doesn't need constant proof to exist. It's the peace of simply being. And when you find it, you'll understand. You were never missing anything. You were just too distracted to notice that everything you were searching for was already within you. You've been living as if life is something you have to conquer, as if every day is a race against time, against failure, against yourself. You wake up already chasing, already reaching for something just out of grasp. And even when you win, it never feels like victory. It feels like temporary relief, like holding your breath underwater and finally coming up for air, only to dive back in again. You've mistaken survival for living, and you can feel it, the exhaustion that never leaves, the quiet ache beneath every moment of success. That's not peace. That's dependence disguised as ambition. You've been told to keep moving, to stay productive, to never stop striving. But what if the constant need to achieve is what's destroying you? What if your endless pursuit of pleasure, progress, and perfection is what's keeping you from peace? You keep waiting for the day when it all feels right, when you've earned rest, when you've finally done enough. But that day never comes, because the mind that needs to prove its worth will never allow itself to stop proving. And so the cycle continues, endless, consuming, invisible. The tragedy is that you already have everything you've been running toward. You've just been too busy chasing to notice. You've been chasing love while running from yourself, chasing peace while avoiding silence, chasing freedom while obeying fear. And every time you reach for the next thing, you reinforce the belief that you are not enough without it. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? What if you've been complete all along, and it's the chase that made you forget? There comes a moment when the noise becomes unbearable, when even pleasure loses its taste, when every distraction feels like poison. That's the breaking point, but it's also the doorway, because that discomfort is not the end. It's the beginning of awareness. It's the moment your soul begins to wake up from the trance of wanting. You start to see that life doesn't happen when everything goes your way. Life happens when you stop demanding that it does. You don't need control. You need connection to the present, to truth, to yourself. It takes courage to let go, to stop running, to sit in the fire of your own stillness and trust that it won't consume you. But that's where real transformation happens, in the quiet, uncomfortable space, where you stop pretending and start seeing. You begin to see that every desire you chased was just a reflection of a deeper longing to feel whole, to feel safe, to feel alive. And when you stop chasing the reflection, you finally meet the real thing. The world won't understand this shift. It will tell you that slowing down means losing, that peace means weakness, that stillness means failure. But those are lies told by people still trapped in the same race. You are not here to compete. You are here to awaken. You are here to remember what it feels like to exist without needing to become something else. Because when you let go of the need to win, you finally understand what it means to live. The truth is, life doesn't need to be fixed. You don't need to earn your right to rest. You don't need to prove your worth through constant striving. The peace you've been searching for isn't at the top of a mountain. It's in the space between your breaths. It's in the quiet moments when you stop trying to manipulate the world and simply allow it to be. It's in the surrender, not the struggle. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect version of yourself. None of that is real. What's real is this breath, this heartbeat, this chance to stop chasing and start being. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply waking up. And once you see the truth, there's no going back. The pursuit of pleasure was never the path. It was the detour. The real journey begins when you stop running toward what you think you want and start embracing what you already are. Because that's where freedom lives. That's where life begins. You've been taught to believe that peace is something you have to find. But what if peace is what's left when you stop searching? What if everything you've been chasing, the pleasure, the success, the validation, has only been distracting you from what's been waiting within you all along? The truth is, the life you want doesn't begin when everything finally falls into place. It begins when you stop fighting what is. When you stop resisting the moment you're already in. Because the more you resist, the heavier everything becomes. The more you chase, the further you drift from yourself. The constant need to fix, to improve, to achieve. It's not ambition, it's fear. Fear that if you stop moving, everything will fall apart. Fear that stillness means failure. But it's that very fear that keeps you from ever feeling alive. You've been surviving in a loop of endless striving, mistaking exhaustion for purpose. And yet, beneath the noise, there's a quiet part of you that's been whispering, there has to be more than this. That whisper is the truth trying to reach you through the cracks of your resistance. You've ignored it long enough. Because deep down you already know, no amount of pleasure can replace the peace of being present. You've tasted it before, even for a moment. That strange calm that arrives when you stop wanting, when you stop pretending, when, for just a breath, you allow life to be exactly what it is. That's not weakness, that's freedom. And once you experience it, you realize it's what you've been looking for all along. Everything else was just noise trying to fill the space where silence was meant to be. But silence scares you, doesn't it? Because in silence, you can hear the truth. You can feel the pain. You can't hide behind distractions or pretend everything's fine. Yet that pain, that raw, unfiltered emotion, is the key. It's the doorway you've been avoiding. The more you run from it, the more power it has over you. But when you face it, when you allow it to exist without judgment, something shifts. The pain softens, the craving quiets. And for the first time you realize you were never broken. You were just disconnected. Disconnection is the real suffering, not pain, not failure. Disconnection from the present moment, from yourself, from life itself. You've been living as though life is something happening later, after the goal, after the reward, after the pleasure. But life isn't waiting at the finish line. It's happening right now. And the tragedy is, most people will spend their entire lives missing it because they're too busy trying to control it. But you're not most people. You can feel something stirring inside you, a quiet defiance, a knowing that the life you've been taught to chase isn't the life you're meant to live. You can't keep numbing yourself with the next high, the next distraction, the next shallow escape. You're here for something deeper, something real, the kind of peace that doesn't depend on circumstance, the kind of joy that doesn't fade when pleasure ends. And yes, it will take courage, the courage to let go of everything false, the courage to sit in the discomfort of truth, the courage to live differently in a world that feeds on distraction. But what's the alternative? Another year lost in noise? Another day spent chasing what you already know won't last? You have one life, one brief burning chance to wake up, to stop running, to stop pretending, to finally see. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for peace to find you. It's already here, hidden beneath the noise, waiting for you to notice. All you have to do is stop reaching outward and start looking inward. That's where the real transformation happens. Not in the pursuit of pleasure, but in the surrender to presence. Because when you finally stop trying to hold on to everything, you realize you were never meant to hold on at all. You were meant to let go, to breathe, to be. And in that moment, the chase ends, not because you've given up, but because you finally come home to yourself.